You've probably felt this before. You read something and say, "Got it." But 10 minutes later, your mind is blank. You listen in class, and afterward, you remember nothing. And the worst part? That annoying voice in your head, "I'm so distracted and slow." I remember once, after reading a heavy chapter, I closed my notebook. 2 minutes later, I was like, wait, what did I actually read? Relax. The problem really isn't you. The scientific truth is, our brain wasn't designed to store modern information like this. The brain is not a recording device. It's more like a manager addicted to deleting extra files. Anything it finds unimportant, it deletes. So if you forget things, you're actually behaving normally. In this text, we want to fix exactly that. Not with motivation, not with cliches, but with a note-taking method that actually matches how the brain works. How does our brain decide? For the brain to keep information, there's one key condition. It has to feel meaningful, or come with a feeling, or genuinely be useful in real life. School textbooks, what the teacher says, social media content, most of the time, none of these have that. So the brain logically says, well, if it's not important, delete it. So the problem isn't that your memory is bad. The problem is that information usually enters the brain raw, without meaning attached to it, with no review or revisiting happening. And the brain, following its natural program, says these are extra, delete them. The good news? We can actually flip this game in our favor. We just need to design our note-taking in a way that creates meaning for the brain, sends the signal this matters, and doesn't allow deletion. Rule number 1, give information meaning. The first step is not letting information stay raw and lifeless. The brain won't keep anything that doesn't have meaning for it. So when you take notes, don't just write what was said. Simply add the answer to this question next to it. How does this relate to me exactly? Where does this help me in my life? That single question turns information from a dry sentence into something connected to your life. The more a topic connects to your experiences, your work, and your future, the more the brain is convinced this matters, this should stay. Real note-taking means this: helping the brain create meaning, not just rewriting words more neatly on paper. Rule number 2, signal the brain, this is important. The brain only keeps things it feels are worth attention. So, while taking notes, you need to highlight what matters. The simplest rule? Don't write everything the same way. Separate 3 or 4 key points, underline them, mark them, or briefly write why this matters. This kind of highlighting is like a neon sign for the brain. Pay attention. Keep this. When some information stands out from the rest, the brain can't easily delete it because it knows it'll be used again. Rule number 3, if you don't return to it, it gets deleted. Even if the brain temporarily keeps some information, if it doesn't feel you'll come back to it, it slowly deletes it. So we need to show the brain this info has future use. The method isn't complicated. Short, timed reviews. For example, a quick look the next day, a summary review on the weekend, and once more after some time. These 3 review checkpoints act like a clear message to the brain. This is important, keep it. It doesn't need much time, and it doesn't need obsession. Just make sure that everything you write down has a short plan for revisiting it. That's what turns temporary information into long-lasting knowledge. These were the 3 core principles. Now let's move on to some practical techniques that help both with note-taking and strengthening memory. I've numbered them in order so they're easier to follow. Technique 1. Write less, but in a way that forces the brain to think. A common mistake, we think the more we write, the more we'll remember, when it's actually the opposite. When you write everything fully and word for word, the brain shuts down because it says, I don't need to think, it's all on paper. Write less, but write your own summary, something you understood and rebuilt in your own words. This is where the brain turns on. Deeper processing, stronger retention. Technique 2. Organize information instead of dumping it like a mess. The brain hates clutter. When information is messy, it only gets one message. Too much, delete it. That's why notes need structure. Add titles, create subpoints, draw arrows, break things into sections. When content is purposeful and categorized, the brain understands more easily what's where and why it matters. The more structure and patterns, the higher the chance it sticks. Technique 3. Don't just write, bring your brain into the game. Real note-taking means your brain is working too, not just your hand. So don't just record things. Ask questions like, what does this actually mean? Explain it. In my own words, this means, and summarize it. This forces the brain to process the information, not just let it pass by. And the more involved your brain is, the higher the chance it'll actually keep it. Technique 4. Create cues for your brain, so recall becomes easier later. Memory without cues is like an address with no signs. So next to every important point, write a keyword, an example from your own life, or even a small personal memory. These cues help the brain quickly reconnect to the same information when you revisit it. Instead of starting from zero, it goes straight to the core. Technique 5. Don't fight with words alone. Bring images into the game too. One important truth: the brain takes images much more seriously than text. So whenever you can, draw something simple next to your notes. Flowcharts, mind maps, even a funny stick figure. This way, the brain absorbs information through words and through images, meaning two learning pathways are activated. The result? Way less forgetting. Technique 6. This notebook is for life, not for looking pretty. Some people have beautiful notebooks, but nothing in their heads. Note-taking isn't meant to be an art museum. It's meant to be a tool for understanding and learning. If your focus is on understanding, connecting ideas, and actually using the information, not fancy handwriting or colors, then that notebook will truly help you. Technique 7. Active recall. Force the brain to pull it out, not just read it. A lot of people think rereading is enough for memory, but the brain doesn't get stronger by reading, it gets stronger by retrieving. What you need to do is simple. After learning something, close the source. Now, without looking, write down what you remember, or explain it out loud. You can even ask yourself questions like, what was this? Why was it important? What was the outcome? This effort of forcing the brain to find information is exactly what strengthens memory pathways. The more you do this, the faster and easier your brain retrieves information. Technique 8. Spaced repetition. Timed review, not exam night brain crushing. The biggest mistake is studying everything at once and expecting it to stick. The brain loves short reviews with space in between. What does that mean? Review a little each time, but across multiple sessions. A simple and effective pattern. Day 1, learning. Next day, short review, 5 to 10 minutes. 3 days later, a summary review. 1 week later, a light review. Each review works like reinforcing the pillars of a building. This sends a clear message to the brain. This information matters, keep it. Important note, you don't need to be obsessive. Short but consistent reviews are gold. Technique 9. Memory Palace. Storing information in familiar places. This technique is used by memory champions around the world. The idea is very simple. The brain remembers places and images far better than plain text. So choose a familiar place, your home, your room, or a route you know well. Now turn each piece of information into a clear image, even exaggerated or funny, and place it somewhere specific in that space. Put one concept on the table, one on the bed, one next to the door. When you want to remember, walk through that place in your mind, and the information appears like road signs. The stranger and more story-like the images are, the better they stick. Technique 10. Chunking. Breaking information into bite-sized pieces. The brain can't handle large amounts of scattered information at once, so we need to turn big information into small, meaningful chunks. Instead of memorizing 20 separate points, turn them into 4 or 5 groups. For history, decades; for lessons, topic sections; for notes, conceptual groups. This way, instead of holding 20 unrelated items, the brain manages just a few organized chunks. The result? Less mental pressure and much easier recall. Technique 11. Teach back. Teach it so your brain is forced to truly understand. This technique is simple but incredibly powerful. Whatever you learn, explain it as if you're teaching someone else, a friend, your sister, or even the wall. When you explain, the brain is forced to organize the information, find weak spots, and build connections. This exact process is what moves knowledge into long-term memory. If you get stuck while explaining, that's your weak point. Go back, relearn that part better, and explain it again. Technique 13. Use emotion and stories. Tie information to a memory, a strong emotion, or even a silly story. The more emotional weight it has, the more likely the brain keeps it. For example, if you're studying history, put yourself in that person's place. Or if you're learning a formula, make up a ridiculous story for it. The brain loves stories, not dry lists. Technique 14. Ask yourself questions before studying. Before reading something, ask yourself, what do I want to learn from this text? What question am I trying to answer? This question gives the brain direction and works like an antenna. Now, while reading, your mind actively searches for answers instead of passively sliding over words. Technique 14. Rewrite it in simple language. After reading something complex, rewrite it in your own words, as if you're explaining it to a 10-year-old kid. If you can simplify a complex idea enough for a child to understand, it means you truly understood it yourself. This reveals every gap in learning. For years, we tried to force the brain to act like a hard drive, while the brain has its own rules. If you give information meaning, if you highlight what matters for the brain, and if you show it you'll come back to it, the brain won't delete it. It'll actually help you keep it. Real note-taking is this: not fighting forgetting, but teaming up with your brain. If you feel this helped you, from now on, test everything you learn with these 3 simple principles. You'll see the difference yourself, not in your notes, but in your mind.